The night was unnaturally quiet. Not peaceful, not calm, just heavy. Ethan sat alone in the living room, the dim yellow light above him flickering slightly, as if even the bulb was struggling to stay steady in the tension-filled air. His eyes weren't on the TV, even though it was on. The sound was low, just background noise to hide the silence that would otherwise scream too loudly. In his hand, his phone. Paused. A single frame frozen on the screen. A woman's face. Her. Lily. His wife. His everything. Or, at least, that's what he used to believe. Ethan's jaw tightened as his thumb hovered over the screen. He didn't want to press play again. But he already knew what would happen. He had watched it 5 times. And every time, it felt worse. Slowly, painfully, he pressed play. The video resumed. The dim light of a bedroom. Soft laughter. A man's voice, low, unfamiliar, too comfortable. Then Lily's voice. Gentle. Intimate. A tone Ethan had once believed was only his. His grip on the phone tightened. He didn't watch the entire video this time. He couldn't. He paused it again and exhaled slowly. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just controlled. Too controlled. Because inside him, everything was breaking. But his face? His face was calm. Cold. Almost emotionless. Footsteps echoed faintly from upstairs. Ethan didn't look up immediately. He just stared at the black screen of his phone now, his reflection staring back at him. A man who looked completely fine. A man who had just discovered his entire marriage was a lie. The footsteps came closer. Then her voice. Ethan, you're still awake? Soft. Normal. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just destroyed him. Ethan slowly placed the phone face down on the table and leaned back slightly, forcing his shoulders to relax. He turned his head. Lily stood at the edge of the stairs, wrapped in a light robe, her hair slightly messy, her expression gentle. Beautiful. Familiar. Fake. Yeah, Ethan replied calmly. Couldn't sleep. She smiled softly and walked toward him. That smile. The same one from the video. The same one she gave someone else. Ethan's chest tightened, but he didn't show it. Too much work? She asked, sitting beside him. He looked at her for a brief second. Just a second. Then he nodded, something like that. Lily sighed, leaning slightly into him. You've been overworking yourself again. Ethan almost laughed. Almost. Instead, he said quietly, maybe. There was a pause. A small one. But in that silence, something shifted. Lily glanced at him. Are you okay? She asked. A simple question. But loaded. Ethan met her eyes. And for a split second, everything inside him screamed to say it. To show her the video. To ask why. To demand the truth. But he didn't. Instead, he smiled. A soft, tired smile. I'm fine. Lily studied him for a moment, as if trying to read something deeper. But Ethan didn't let her. He had already built the wall. High, cold, unbreakable. "Come to bed," she said gently. "You need rest." Ethan nodded slowly. "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute." She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed his cheek. Soft, warm, familiar. Ethan didn't move, didn't react, didn't feel anything. Not anymore. "Don't stay up too late," she whispered, before walking away. Her footsteps faded again. Up the stairs, back to the same room. The same bed, where she had betrayed him. Ethan's smile disappeared the moment she was gone. His face hardened instantly. His eyes dropped to the phone again. Slowly, he picked it up, unlocked it. And this time, he didn't open the video. He opened something else. A folder. Hidden. Locked. Inside it, screenshots. Messages. Call logs. Photos. Evidence. Not just one video. Not just one mistake. This wasn't an accident. This was a pattern. A double life. Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. His breathing remained steady. But his mind was changing. Breaking. Rebuilding. Stronger. Darker. "They think I don't know," he murmured under his breath. A faint, almost invisible smirk touched his lips. Good. He leaned back again, eyes now sharp, focused. No more confusion. No more denial. Only one thing remained. Control. "I'm not going to lose everything," he whispered. "I'm going to understand everything." His thumb scrolled slowly through the evidence. Each detail. Each timestamp. Each lie. And with every piece, his plan began to form. Not rushed. Not emotional. Calculated. Precise. "Not yet," he said quietly. "You don't get to know. Not yet." He locked the phone, placed it back down, and stood up. The house felt different now. Not like a home. Like a stage. And everyone was playing a role. Ethan walked toward the stairs, his footsteps steady. No hesitation. No weakness. As he reached the top, he paused. The bedroom door was slightly open, light spilling out. He could hear her moving inside. Normal. Comfortable. Unaware. Ethan's hand rested on the door for a second. Just 1 second. Then he pushed it open. Lily looked up from the bed. "Hey," she smiled. "Finally." Ethan walked in, calm, composed. As if nothing had changed. As if everything was still perfect. He sat beside her, and for the first time since discovering the truth, he looked directly into her eyes and smiled. A perfect smile. A dangerous one. Because now he knew everything. And she knew nothing. The rain hadn't stopped since that night. It was as if the sky itself refused to forget what had happened. Daniel hadn't slept in 2 days. Not after what he saw. Not after what he realized. The image kept replaying in his mind. Lena, standing under that dim yellow streetlight. talking to a man Daniel had never seen before. But it wasn't just the conversation. It was the way she smiled. That smile. The same one she used to give Daniel when they first met. Daniel sat in his car outside their house, gripping the steering wheel tightly. His phone screen lit up again. "Where are you? I'm worried, Lena." He laughed. A hollow, broken laugh. "Worried?" he whispered. "Now you're worried?" He didn't reply. Instead, he opened the photo again. Zoomed in. The man's face was partially visible this time. Sharp jawline. Confident posture. And Lena, leaning closer than she ever should. Inside the house, Lena paced back and forth. Something was wrong. She could feel it. Daniel wasn't answering. And that scared her more than anything. Because Daniel always answered. Meanwhile, across the city, the same man from the photo sat in a quiet bar, swirling a glass of whiskey. His name was Victor Hale. And he wasn't just some random stranger. He was watching everything. Waiting. Calculating. Back in the car, Daniel finally stepped out. Slowly. Deliberately. Every step toward the house felt heavier than the last. Like he was walking toward a truth he didn't want to face. The door creaked open. Lena turned instantly. "Daniel." She rushed toward him, relief flooding her face. "Where have you been? I've been calling." "Who is he?" The words cut through the air like a blade. Lena froze. Her smile disappeared. "What?" Daniel stepped closer. His eyes cold, empty. "Don't lie to me, Lena." He held up his phone. The photo. Her face went pale. Silence. Heavy. Unforgiving. "It's not what you think," she said quickly. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then tell me what it is." Lena hesitated. Just for a second. But that second was enough. Daniel noticed. And in that moment, something inside him broke. "You hesitated," he said quietly. "No, You hesitated, Lena." His voice rose now. Not loud, but dangerous. Tears filled her eyes. "I was scared," she whispered. "Of what?" Daniel snapped. "Of telling the truth?" Across town. Victor checked his watch. "Right on time," he murmured. Back in the house, Lena stepped closer. "Daniel, please, you have to trust me." "Trust?" he laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about trust?" He turned away, running a hand through his hair. "I gave you everything. Everything, Lena." Her voice trembled. "And I never asked for anything else." "Except secrets," Daniel shot back. Silence again. But this time, it was different. This time, it wasn't just tension. It was distance. Growing. Expanding. Like a crack in glass about to shatter completely. "I met him because I had to," Lena said finally. Daniel turned slowly. "What does that even mean?" Before she could answer, a knock at the door. Both of them froze. Another knock. Stronger this time. Daniel frowned. "Were you expecting someone?" Lena shook her head. No. The third knock came. Slow. Deliberate. Daniel walked toward the door. Every instinct in his body screamed to stop. But he didn't. He opened it. And there he was. Victor Hale. Standing calmly. Like he belonged there. Daniel's eyes narrowed. You. Victor smiled slightly. Good evening. Lena's face drained of color. No, you weren't supposed to. Not now? Victor finished, stepping inside without permission. I'm afraid timing is everything. Daniel stepped between them. What the hell is going on? Victor looked at him. Then at Lena. Then back at Daniel. And smiled. You really don't know, do you? Daniel's fists clenched. Know what? Victor took a slow breath, as if savoring the moment. She didn't tell you, he said softly. About the nights she disappeared? Lena shook her head desperately. Stop. About the money? Victor continued. Daniel's heart skipped. What money? Lena's voice broke. Daniel, please. Victor leaned closer. And most importantly, he paused, letting the silence stretch, twist, break. About why she chose you. Everything stopped. Daniel stared at Lena, waiting, hoping, praying she would deny it. Explain it. Fix it. But she didn't. And that silence was louder than anything she could have said. Victor smiled again, satisfied. Now, he said calmly, we can finally begin. The room felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. Daniel couldn't breathe properly. Victor's words echoed in his head. About why she chose you. Say something. Daniel's voice cracked. Not loud, but heavy, broken. Lena stood frozen. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. That silence. It confirmed everything Daniel feared. Victor walked slowly across the room, observing everything like he owned it. This house, he said casually, touching the wall. Nice choice, comfortable, safe. He turned toward Daniel. Perfect place to build a lie. Daniel snapped. He grabbed Victor by the collar and slammed him against the wall. Enough games, he shouted. What the hell are you talking about? Lena screamed. Daniel, stop. But Daniel didn't move. His eyes were burning now. Talk, now. Victor didn't resist. Didn't panic. Instead, he smiled. You deserve the truth, Victor said calmly. But the question is... He glanced at Lena. Is she ready to give it? Daniel slowly turned his head toward Lena. This was it. Her moment. Her last chance. Lena, he whispered. Tell me he's lying. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I never wanted this. Daniel's grip loosened. Not because he believed her, but because, deep down, he already knew. Victor adjusted his jacket and stepped forward. Let me help, he said smoothly. No, Lena shouted. I'll tell him. Victor raised an eyebrow. Finally. Lena took a shaky breath, her hands trembling, her voice barely holding together. I didn't meet you by accident, Daniel. The words hit like a bullet. Daniel stepped back slowly. What? It was planned, she said. Every word felt like it was tearing her apart. By who? Daniel asked. But he already knew the answer. Lena looked at Victor. And that was enough. Daniel laughed. A broken, empty laugh. Of course, of course. He shook his head. I was just part of a plan. No, it wasn't like that, Lena cried. Then what was it? Daniel roared. Silence again. But this time, Lena didn't run from it. It started like that, she admitted. Daniel closed his eyes. That was it. The final piece. Flashback. 3 years ago. A dark office. Dim lights. Rain hitting the windows. Lena sat across from Victor. Nervous. Desperate. I need the money, she said. Victor leaned back, studying her. And you're willing to do anything for it? She hesitated, then nodded. Victor smiled. Good. He slid a file across the table. His name is Daniel Carter. Back to present. Daniel staggered slightly. Like the ground beneath him shifted. You used me, he whispered. Lena shook her head violently. No, not in the way you think. Then how? He yelled. Her voice broke completely now. At first, yes, it was a job. Every word. Another knife. But then I fell in love with you. Silence. Daniel stared at her, searching her face, trying to find something real. Anything. But all he could see was doubt. Victor clapped slowly. Beautiful performance, he said sarcastically. Shut up, Lena snapped. Victor's expression changed. Cold. Serious. You were never supposed to fall in love, he said quietly. That was your mistake. Daniel looked between them. Confused. Angry. Lost. What was the job? He asked. Victor stepped closer. His voice low. Controlled. You. Daniel frowned. What about me? Victor smiled slightly. You were never just a random target, Daniel. A pause. A long, suffocating pause. You were an investment. Daniel's heart pounded. What does that mean? Victor leaned in, close enough for Daniel to feel his breath. It means everything you built, your business, your success. He smirked. Was never truly yours. The world went silent. No, Daniel whispered. Lena cried harder. Daniel, please. But he stepped back. Away from her. Away from everything. You manipulated my life, he said slowly. Victor didn't deny it. Guided it, he corrected. Daniel's fists clenched again. Why? Victor's smile faded. For the first time, he looked serious. Because you were the perfect candidate. For what? Victor paused, then said the words that changed everything. for something much bigger than you can imagine. Suddenly, a loud sound outside. Tires screeching. All three turned toward the window. Black cars. Multiple. Surrounding the house. Daniel frowned. What is this? Victor checked his watch again. Right on schedule. They're early, he muttered. Lena's face filled with fear. No, this isn't part of the plan. Victor looked at her. Cold. Unbothered. Plans change. A loud bang on the door. Open the door, a voice shouted. Daniel's heart raced. What did you do? Victor smiled again. But this time, it wasn't calm. It was dangerous. I told you. He stepped back toward the door. This is bigger than you. Another bang. The door almost broke. Lena grabbed Daniel's arm. We have to run, now. Daniel looked at her. Conflicted. Broken. Trust was gone. But survival? That was still real. The door cracked. Wood splintering. Victor stepped aside. Letting it happen. Daniel made a choice. He grabbed Lena's hand. Back door, he said. They ran. As the front door burst open, men in black stormed inside. Victor raised his hand slightly, smiling. Gentlemen, he said calmly. You're late. Outside, Daniel and Lena ran into the darkness. Rain pouring. Hearts racing. But nothing. Nothing would ever be the same again. Rain hammered the ground like bullets. Daniel and Lena ran through the narrow alley behind the house, their breaths uneven, their minds racing faster than their feet. Faster, Lena shouted. Daniel didn't respond. His hand was still holding hers. But his mind? Still stuck in her words. It was a job. They reached the end of the alley. A deserted street. Dim lights flickering. Daniel stopped. Pulled his hand away. Lena turned instantly. Why did you stop? We have to keep moving. Daniel stepped back, his chest rising heavily. No, he said. Lena froze. We're not running anymore, Daniel continued. Are you insane? Lena snapped. Those people will kill us. Then maybe it's time I find out why, Daniel said coldly. Lena stared at him. This wasn't the same Daniel anymore. Something had changed. You still don't get it, she whispered. Then make me understand, he shot back. Silence. Rain falling between them like a barrier. Before she could speak, headlights appeared. A black SUV turned the corner. Slow. Deliberate. Lena's eyes widened. They found us. The SUV stopped. Doors opened. 3 men stepped out. Dressed in black. Armed. Daniel clenched his fists. Who are they? Lena shook her head. Fear in her eyes. I don't know. This wasn't supposed to happen. The men started walking toward them. Daniel, Lena whispered urgently, we need to go, now. But Daniel didn't move. Not this time. The first man spoke. Cold voice. No more running. Daniel stepped forward. If you want something, talk to me. The man smirked slightly. Oh, we do. A pause. We want you. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Why? Before the man could answer, a gunshot echoed. Bang. One of the men dropped instantly. Everyone froze. Another shot. Bang. Second man down. The third man turned. Too late. Bang. Silence. Daniel looked around, shocked. Who? From the shadows, a figure stepped out. Calm. Controlled. Victor. Lena's breath caught. You? Victor lowered the gun. Miss me? Daniel's anger exploded. You set this up. Victor shook his head. No, this is something else. He walked closer, stepping over the bodies like it meant nothing. They're not mine, he added. Daniel frowned. Then whose are they? Victor's expression darkened. That, he said quietly, is the problem. They moved quickly. Victor led them through back streets, hidden paths, places that felt pre-planned. After 10 minutes, they reached an abandoned warehouse. Inside, dark, silent. Victor locked the door behind them. Daniel turned instantly. Start talking. Victor Sihil. For once, we agree. Lena stood in the corner, still shaken, still scared. Victor looked at both of them, then spoke. There are 2 games being played right now. Daniel crossed his arms. And? We were playing the first one, Victor said. And the second? Victor paused. They just entered the board. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean? Victor stepped closer, lowered his voice. It means someone bigger than me has been watching you. Silence. Daniel shook his head. No, I'm not buying this. Victor smirked. You think I manipulated your life for 3 years. He leaned closer. Just for money? Daniel didn't answer. Then you're still not thinking big enough. Lena stepped forward. What do they want? Victor looked at her. For a moment, something almost human appeared in his eyes. Then it disappeared. They want what's inside him. Daniel frowned. What are you talking about? Victor pointed at him. You don't even know, do you? Daniel's frustration exploded again. Stop talking in riddles. Victor walked to a table, opened a small metal case. Inside, files, photos, documents. He threw one file toward Daniel. Read. Daniel hesitated, then picked it up, opened it. His eyes scanned the page, then widened. No, this is impossible. Lena stepped closer. What is it? Daniel's hands started shaking. This says. He looked up. I was never supposed to be alive. Silence. Lena's face turned pale. Victor nodded slowly. Now you're starting to understand. Flashback. Hospital room. Years ago. Machines beeping. Doctors rushing. A newborn baby. Not breathing. Time of death. Wait, another doctor shouted. The machine flickered. A heartbeat. Back to present. Daniel stepped back. This is fake. Victor shook his head. No. He pointed at the file. You were part of an experiment. The words hit harder than anything before. Your life, your success, your instincts. Victor's voice dropped. They were all designed. Daniel felt like the world was collapsing. Lena looked at him. Tears in her eyes again. I didn't know it was this deep, she whispered. Victor looked at her sharply. You knew enough. Suddenly, a loud noise outside. Engines. Multiple. Victor's face changed instantly. They found us. Daniel looked at him. Who are they? Victor loaded his gun again. This time, he looked straight into Daniel's eyes. You're about to find out. Lights flashed through the broken windows. Red lasers appeared on the walls. Snipers. Lena gasped. Daniel's heart pounded like never before. Victor stepped beside him. Welcome to the real game, Daniel. The air inside the warehouse turned deadly still. Red laser dots crawled slowly across the walls. Then across Daniel's chest. Then stopped right over his heart. Snipers. Watching. Waiting. Lena's fingers tightened around Daniel's arm. Her voice trembled. Daniel, we're surrounded. But Daniel didn't respond. Not immediately. Something inside him had shifted. His breathing slowed. His heartbeat steadied. His eyes moved, not in panic, but in calculation. Victor noticed. Of course he did. A faint smile crept onto his face. There it is, he whispered under his breath. Daniel turned sharply. What are you talking about? Victor stepped closer, studying him like a scientist observing a breakthrough. That moment, when fear disappears. He tapped his temple lightly. And something else takes over. Before Daniel could react, a distorted voice blasted through the warehouse. Daniel Carter. The sound echoed like thunder. Cold, commanding. Step outside. A pause. And maybe she lives. A red dot appeared on Lena's forehead. She froze. Daniel's entire body went rigid. Don't, Lena whispered quickly. Don't listen to them. Victor didn't interrupt. Didn't interfere. He was watching Daniel closely. Because this moment mattered. The voice returned. More dangerous now. You've been searching for answers your whole life. A pause. But the truth is, you belong to us. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Daniel's jaw tightened. He looked at Victor. Who are they? Victor exhaled slowly. For the first time. He didn't sound sarcastic. They're not just people, Daniel. A beat. They're the ones who created you. Flashback. A sterile underground lab. White lights, cold steel. Machines humming. A child strapped to a chair. Small. Helpless. Daniel. Electrodes attached to his head. Screens flashing abnormal neural patterns. Subject D17 showing accelerated cognition. Increased stimulus. The child screams. Then suddenly stops. Eyes open. Calm. Too calm. Back to present. Daniel staggered back slightly. No. His voice was barely there. This isn't real. Lena stepped toward him. It doesn't matter right now. We need to. Stay away from me, Daniel snapped. She froze. The pain in her eyes was instant. Deep. But Daniel couldn't look at her. Not now. Not after everything. Victor's voice cut in. It's real. Daniel looked at him. Anger rising again. You knew? Victor didn't hesitate. Yes. That one word hit harder than anything else. Daniel laughed quietly. Broken. Of course you did. Victor stepped closer, lowering his voice. You were never just a target. A pause. You were an asset. Outside. Engines roared. Doors slammed. Boots hit the ground. They were closing in. The voice spoke again. Final warning. Come out, or we take everything from you. Lena grabbed Daniel again. This time harder. We can't fight them. Victor moved quickly now, opening a hidden crate. Weapons inside. He tossed one toward Daniel. Good, Victor said calmly. Daniel caught it. Confused. Angry. Because we're not fighting. Victor loaded his own gun. We're adapting. Suddenly, the wall exploded inward. Concrete shattered. Smoke filled the air. Men stormed inside. Fast, precise, lethal. Down, Victor shouted. Gunfire erupted. Lena screamed. Daniel dropped instinctively. But then, something impossible happened. Time slowed. Not literally, but in his mind. Everything became clearer. He saw the bullets before they landed. The angles. The movements. The patterns. Predictable. Controllable. His eyes sharpened. Without thinking, he moved. He pulled Lena down. Just as a bullet sliced through the air above her head, he grabbed a metal rack, flipped it perfectly, blocking incoming fire. Victor watched. Stunned, impressed. There it is, he whispered again. Daniel picked up a fallen weapon. This time, his hands didn't shake. His mind didn't hesitate. He fired. One shot. One target. Down. Another. Another. Every move was precise. Calculated. Effortless. This wasn't survival anymore. This was design. Lena stared at him in disbelief. Daniel, what are you? But he didn't answer. Because even he didn't know anymore. Then, suddenly, silence. The gunfire stopped. A presence entered. Different. Heavier. More dangerous. The remaining men stepped aside instantly. A man walked in slowly. Calm. Controlled. Untouchable. Leader. He clapped once, echoing through the warehouse. Impressive. Daniel aimed at him immediately. Don't move. The man smiled faintly. You've improved beyond projections. Daniel's finger tightened on the trigger. Who are you? The man stopped just a few steps away. Looked him directly in the eyes. I'm the one who started your story. A pause. Director Kane. Lena whispered in fear. No. Victor's face hardened. You should have stayed hidden, Victor said coldly. Kane glanced at him briefly. And you should have stayed loyal. Tension snapped. Daniel stepped forward. Gun still raised. What do you want from me? Kane's smile deepened. You. A pause. Everything you are belongs to us. No, Daniel said firmly. Kane tilted his head slightly, almost amused. You still think you have control? He stepped closer. You were built for a purpose. Daniel's voice dropped. Cold. Then tell me what it is. Kane leaned in. Your mind is the key. A pause. To the next stage of human evolution. Silence fell again. Lena's breathing became uneven. Victor slowly raised his weapon. But instantly, a laser dot appeared on Lena's forehead again. Daniel froze. Drop it, Kane said softly. Time slowed again. Daniel's mind calculated every outcome. Every possibility. Every loss. Too many risks. Slowly, he lowered the gun. Victor clenched his jaw, but didn't interfere. Kane nodded. Satisfied. Good. He stepped closer. Close enough to whisper. Now you're ready. Daniel looked straight into his eyes and said quietly, Then teach me. Silence. Victor's eyes widened. Lena's heart dropped. Even Kane paused. Just for a moment. Then, he smiled. Welcome back, Daniel. But Daniel's expression didn't change. Because this wasn't surrender. This was strategy. And for the first time, he was playing the game. On his own terms. The night felt unnaturally quiet. Too quiet. Daniel stood still, facing Kane. Gun lowered. But his mind? Moving faster than ever before. Then teach me. Those were the words he chose. Carefully. Deliberately. Kane studied him. Not like an enemy. Not like a subject. Like a creator, looking at his masterpiece. Interesting, Kane said slowly. Behind Daniel. Lena shook her head in disbelief. Daniel, what are you doing? Victor didn't speak. But his eyes locked onto Daniel, searching for something deeper. Because Victor understood something Lena didn't. Daniel wasn't surrendering. He was entering the system. Kane turned slightly. Stand down, he ordered his men. The red laser dots disappeared. Weapons lowered. But tension? Still suffocating. Kane walked closer, step by step. Tell me something, Daniel, he said calmly. If I give you the truth. A pause. Will you survive it? Daniel didn't hesitate. I already did. A flicker of approval crossed Kane's face. Good. He turned his back. A dangerous move. But intentional. Bring them, Kane said. Two men stepped forward and grabbed Lena. No, she screamed. Daniel's body tensed. But he didn't move. That was the test. Kane looked over his shoulder. Emotion or evolution? Silence. Daniel's fists clenched. But slowly, he relaxed them. Evolution, he said coldly. Lena froze. That hurt more than anything else. Victor's expression darkened. But Kane smiled. Perfect. They moved Daniel outside. Rain still falling. Black vehicles everywhere. Lights cutting through the darkness. A mobile command unit stood in the center. Kane gestured toward it. Your past is inside. Daniel stepped forward. Each step felt heavier. Not because he was scared, but because something inside him was waking up. Inside the unit. Screens. Data. Files. A large monitor flickered on. A video began. A woman appeared on screen. A scientist. Calm. Focused. Subject D-17. Daniel froze. That voice. Familiar. Too familiar. The woman continued. If you're watching this, it means they found you. Daniel stepped closer. His heart started racing. No. Not racing. Recognizing. The woman looked directly into the camera and said, Daniel, I'm your mother. Everything shattered. Lena gasped from outside. Victor's eyes widened slightly. Even Kane watched closely now. Daniel stepped back. No. His voice broke. That's not possible. The video continued. My name is Dr. Evelyn Carter. I didn't just give birth to you. A pause. I created you. Daniel's world collapsed. Every memory. Every belief. Every truth. Gone. You weren't meant to be a weapon. She continued. You were meant to be a solution. Kane's expression hardened slightly. He didn't like where this was going. They told me we were saving humanity. Dr. Evelyn said. But I discovered the truth too late. Her voice trembled now. They weren't creating evolution. They were creating control. Daniel's breathing became uneven. I tried to stop them, she whispered. But they took you. A tear rolled down her cheek. So I did the only thing I could. I hid something inside you. Kane stepped forward suddenly. Turn it off. But Daniel shouted. No! The video glitched, but continued. If you're seeing this, it means it's activating. Daniel froze. Activating? You're not their weapon, Daniel. Her eyes filled with emotion. You're their end. Silence. Dead silence. Kane's calm broke. Shut it down, he yelled. But it was too late. Daniel's head started pounding. Memories, not his, flooded his mind. Codes. Systems. Access. Control. He dropped to his knees, screaming. Lena cried out. Daniel. Victor stepped forward, concerned for the first time. Kane stepped back. Fear. Real fear. He wasn't supposed to remember, Kane muttered. Daniel's eyes snapped open. Different. Not confused. Not broken. Aware. He stood up slowly. Rain falling around him. Silence everywhere. Then he spoke. But not like before. Calm. Cold. Controlled. I see it now. Kane's face changed. What did you do? Daniel looked at him and smiled slightly. I didn't just survive your experiment. A pause. I completed it. Victor whispered. Oh, this just changed everything. Daniel turned toward Lena. For a moment. Emotion returned. Soft. Human. I remember everything now, he said quietly. Lena's eyes filled with tears. Then, you remember me too? A long pause. Daniel looked at her and said, Not the way you want me to. Her heart broke. Then, Daniel turned back to Kane. And now, he stepped forward. It's my turn to take control. All systems inside the command unit flickered. Screens glitching. Signals failing. Kane's men panicked. What's happening? Victor smiled slowly. Your weapon. A pause. Just became your nightmare. Daniel raised his head, and every device around them shut down. Darkness. Silence. Power shift. Complete. The world went dark. Not just the lights. Not just the systems. Everything. Phones died. Weapons shut down. Cars stalled. Silence spread like a shockwave. And in the center of it all, Daniel stood still. Unshaken. Unstoppable. Rain falling over him like a quiet storm. Director Kane took a step back. For the first time, fear was visible on his face. What did you do? Kane whispered. Daniel lifted his eyes slowly. Calm. Cold. I took back what was mine. Victor exhaled deeply. Almost impressed. I always knew you were different. He smiled faintly. But this. A pause. This is something else. Kane quickly regained control of himself. Or at least tried to. You think this changes anything? He said sharply. Daniel didn't answer. He just started walking toward him. Step. By. Step. Each movement controlled. Calculated. Inevitable. You were built by us, Kane shouted. You exist because of me. Daniel stopped. Right in front of him. No, he said quietly. A pause. I exist because someone chose to save me. Kane's expression hardened. She lied to you, he snapped. She made you weak. Daniel's eyes darkened. No. A beat. She made me human. Silence. That word, human, echoed deeper than anything else. Behind them, Lena stood frozen, tears mixing with rain. This wasn't the same Daniel. But somewhere, deep inside, she could still see him. Kane suddenly pulled a hidden gun, pointed it directly at Daniel's chest. End of the line. Click. Nothing. The gun was dead. Kane's hand trembled. Daniel looked at it, then back at Kane. You still don't understand, Daniel said. He stepped closer. Your power was never real. A pause. It was control. Kane's voice broke slightly. I can rebuild everything. Daniel shook his head slowly. No. A beat. Because I won't let you. Suddenly, all the screens inside the command unit flickered back on. But this time, they weren't under Kane's control. They were under Daniel's. Files opened. Secrets exposed. Experiments. Subjects. Victims. Everything. Broadcasting. Everywhere. Victor looked around, realizing what was happening. You're exposing everything, he said. Daniel nodded. No more shadows. Kane's face collapsed. You're destroying decades of work. Daniel's voice turned final. Good. Security forces in the distance began to arrive. Real authorities this time. Not controlled. Not corrupted. Kane looked around desperately. No escape. No control. No power. He looked back at Daniel. You could have ruled the world. Daniel's answer was simple. I'd rather fix it. Kane was taken away. Defeated. Broken. Finished. Silence returned. But this time, it felt different. Lighter. Victor walked toward Daniel slowly. So, what now? He asked. Daniel looked at him. You disappear, Daniel said calmly. Victor smirked. Already planned. He paused. Then added quietly. You were never just the experiment. A beat. You were the correction. And just like that, Victor walked away. Into the darkness. Gone. Now only two remained. Daniel and Lena. The rain softened. Time slowed. Lena stepped closer. Carefully. Daniel, she whispered. He didn't move. I know I don't deserve anything, she said, her voice shaking. But what I felt for you. A tear fell. It was real. Silence. Long. Heavy. Daniel finally looked at her. And for a moment, the old Daniel was there. I believe you, he said softly. Hope sparked in her eyes. But it didn't last. But belief, he continued, doesn't erase the truth. Her heart shattered quietly. Daniel stepped back. You were part of the lie that built my life. A pause. And I have to live with that. Lena broke down. I tried to fix it, she cried. Daniel nodded slowly. I know. Another pause. But some things. He looked away. Can't be undone. The distance between them grew. Not physically. Emotionally. Permanently. Daniel turned. Started walking away. Daniel, Lena whispered. He stopped. But didn't turn back. Take care of yourself, he said quietly. And then he walked away. Into a new life. Not controlled. Not designed. Chosen. Final message. Some betrayals don't just break trust. They change who you become. But in the end, you are not defined by who created you. You are defined by the choices you make.